Hello, this is Everett, and today I'm going to be discussing tunnels and how to build them, how to plan them, what things to look out for, at least some of the things that I've learned along the way in building my own layout. Unfortunately, I can't show you a build in progress because I've pretty much built all the tunnels that I'm going to build, but with these pieces of foam and with some, I'll show you some areas of my layout, some completed tunnels and some of the things I did to make them, so hopefully you'll get a good idea on how to build your own tunnels and plan for them and make them come out right. So here we go. Okay, first thing you want to keep in mind, excuse me, for tunnels is your clearance when you're actually doing the building the rough in for the foam. So, for example, you want to, and this is where having an NMRA gauge comes in handy. It'll help you with your clearance. For your vertical clearance here, you want to make sure, by the way, this is N scale, if you didn't know, but N scale NMRA gauge put on top of the tracks and set your foam up here. Fortunately, the 2-inch thick foam is just provides just the right amount of clearance for the tallest trains, the tallest loads I can go through. Unless you have some really odd size loads going through, but the 2-inch foam works out great for N scale. Obviously, if you have HO scale or larger, you'll have to stack it up higher along the sides before you put your horizontal piece across. But the NMRA gauge will help you if you don't have a gauge. You can get them at your hobby store. I think they go for like $6 or $7. If not, you can find the specifications and measurements for clearance on the NMRA.org site, nmra.org site. So you just want to use a ruler to check your clearances and stuff like that. Another thing you want to keep in mind is that you want to minimize your lengths in which your train actually travels through this narrow constricted space. I mean, when you make a tunnel, you don't want to make it in such a way that, especially if it's a longer one, you just have this long tube of foam that it goes through. I know that's what they do in the prototypes, but for us modelers, you don't want to do that because it would be an absolute nightmare to try to extract your cars if you did have a derailment in there. Which leads me to another point, is that you want to make sure when you build and design your tunnels is that once a train enters, you can somehow get to it if you have a derailment of any kind. Accessibility, that's another thing to keep in mind. Clearance, accessibility, those are probably the two big ones. Well, the question is now, okay, well, how do you avoid having your trains run through this narrow length constricted space? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. Here's your tunnel entrance. Look at it like this. Here's your tunnel entrance. There's your top of the tunnel, and you take your foam and you just basically use a small piece. You know, you have to kind of think in terms of the way the commercial tunnels are built. I mean, not commercial tunnels, but the ones you can buy from Woodland Scenics. You know, that there's this big, giant foam blob with an entrance on both sides, but inside it's hollow. Essentially, you want to do the same thing. So we've got this, and that's a little support for this side of the roof. And there you go. And back here, then, you don't have the problem where it's all constricted, okay? And it'll be easier for me to show this to you when I take shots of my own layout and what I did there and how I solved certain problems. So another thing to keep in mind, if you're going to use tunnel portals, okay, well, how far apart should you keep your foam blocks? And I'm always, I found it's always better to keep the entryway as wide as possible. Probably slightly less in width than the width of your tunnel portal here. So for example, you wouldn't want to put these foam blocks, if you're going to be using a tunnel portal like that, you wouldn't want to have your foam blocks just all the way butted up right against your road bed like there. You want to have a little distance, okay? Give you as big as opening as possible, because you're going to be covering the fact that this isn't a real tunnel by your tunnel portal, like that. There you go. Okay. Now, you may run into a situation where you have to build essentially this giant blob. I mean, that is just this whole mountain. I mean, like you would get in one of those Woodland Scenics mountains, this giant blob you stick there. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's all you have space for. So in that case, you're going to have to do some planning for accessibility. And for example, once you've constructed your foam, you may want to have a section that you design to cut out and lift out of the mountain so you can reach in and get to your trains. Another thing, if your mountain is fairly large, you may want to consider, before you put the mountain in place, go ahead and cut a hole in your road bed. I mean, especially if you have your layout elevated on some bench work. So for example, let's say I was building this big mountain here, and just pretend this wall isn't here right now, this wall right there. Let's just say that isn't here, and I just wanted to build this nice, good size 4-foot blob of a mountain or a hill and stuff like that. I mean, I could either, to get to the trains, design it so that there is a cutout and a lift out in there, and I can't give you any tips on that because I was able to avoid doing that in my layout, so there's probably plenty of other information on doing that on the web.